What's up, guys? Welcome back to Gleese on Life. I'm Alex Gleese, and today we're going to be going on a little bit of a springtime forage for some spring greens that we're going to be using to make a fermented beverage. This is going to be sort of like a beer, but have a little bit more of a sweeter taste, maybe a citrus taste based on what greens we pick. So come along and let's see what we can find. Now that we're all done foraging, while I was processing my video or my clips for this video, I accidentally ended up losing a lot of my footage where I showed the whole process of creating the fermentation and putting everything in the vessel. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna walk you all through what I did here. So as you can see, I've filled everything into my vessel here. So what we ended up having was wild violets, we ended up having dandelion leaves, and we ended up with henbit dead nettle, which is that small purple flower that we foraged a lot of with all the little greenery on. I also went ahead and I added in some dehydrated lemon slices in there, which will add a little bit of a tangy citrusness or citrus flavor once this is done fermenting. I also went ahead and I made sure that I'm not putting anything in here that isn't what I'm expecting. You don't want to end up putting any plants in there that you don't know what are, simply because you don't know the edibility of those plants. So you could potentially hurt yourself by putting something in there. So always make sure you know what it is that you're eating and make sure that you can identify those plants before you consume them. Before I added everything in there, I filled this container up with just under a gallon of water. And that's filtered water that I added in there, because if you don't add filtered water in there, it could end up damaging your ferment if there's chlorine in your tap water. So into that filtered water, I added 500 grams of sugar, which is going to be what's going to feed your yeast. That's going to be what allows that yeast to convert that sugar into alcohol, or in this case, hopefully just carbonation. What I did after adding all my ingredients in was that I pitched a small amount of ale yeast into this by simply just using a commercial ale yeast and adding it into the top of this container here, and I gave everything a good shake after I was done. And then to top it off, I put this airlock on here. If you're not familiar with what an airlock is or what it does, you can go ahead and you can check out my other video. I'll include a link down in the description, as well as a card here in the top of the video, where I made Mexican Tepache using this airlock, and I went into detail on how this device actually works. So now that I have this fermentation all set up and this vessel set up, I'm gonna let it sit for probably a couple of days and kind of monitor how it's doing. I'm gonna see how active it is, and if it becomes really active, I'm gonna go ahead and pull it quickly and bottle it. If it's taking a little bit longer, I'll try and let it go and see what happens. Preferably, I don't want this to become an alcoholic beverage. I want this to just be a soda. So if it does start to become really active, I will pull it, because if I don't, it's just going to continue to ferment and turn into an alcoholic drink. So if that's something that you prefer, then go ahead and do that. Hey guys, it's future me here, just checking in. I just want to let you guys know that my drink actually did end up pretty alcoholic, even though I said that I didn't want it to. I think I let it go for a little bit too long and probably put too much sugar in it. So if you don't want it to be alcoholic, put a little less sugar in it and probably use champagne yeast. But more on that in a little bit. All right, back to the video. All right, you guys, it's been 3 days now since we started this soda. And as you can see, all the color from the flowers has just leached into this sugar water, which is super cool. It's awesome to see how pink this is. So now that it's been 3 days, this thing has gotten pretty active. It's got a lot of bubbles in it. The bubbles are coming pretty quickly through the airlock here. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna bottle this. Probably bottle it for about 24 hours. That way we don't let it build up so much carbonation that the bottle's gonna explode. But I'm gonna spare you guys showing you straining it out and bottling it, because that's kind of boring. But I'll show you guys the finished product once we pour this carbonated beverage, probably tomorrow. So stay tuned. All right, you guys, it's now been a few days since I went ahead and I bottled that Wildflower soda. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pop the top on this bottle, and then we're gonna check it out and see what we got going. That's pretty decent carbonation. I would have expected maybe a little bit more, but we'll pour it out here and we'll see. All right. So, from what I see, it's very, very lightly carbonated. If I were to do this again, I would probably use champagne yeast instead of ale yeast, because it'll give you a little bit more of an active fermentation and a shorter amount of time. But luckily we did end up with a really, really beautiful color, a beautiful pink color on that soda. So I'm gonna give it a taste here. Okay, that is really, really delicious. It has like very nice citrus flavor from the lemon. It's sweet. It has a little bit of bitterness, just slightly from the greens. And then it has a very aromatic flavor from those wildflowers. I think that another thing that I would note here is, if I were to do this again, I might include a little bit less of the green part on those dead nettles, because I think it has this funky smell to it, which it tastes great, but it does smell a little funny. So it's not entirely perfect. I mean, anytime you experiment fermentation with foraged ingredients, it's never gonna be 100% perfect. You're gonna have to play a lot, and you're gonna have to expect, results that might vary based on what you do. So if you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. I really appreciate it. And if you like this kind of stuff, check out my other videos where I also do other foraging and fermentation and just a lot of fun stuff. If you enjoy that, feel free to stick around and subscribe to my channel, Lease on Life. Thanks for watching.